Hello. Welcome to the Kathleen Spracklin podcast. I am a woman on a mission to develop a cadre of writers, thinkers, and teachers who are transforming the world, one character at a time. But I'm still on a tangent of teaching the Zettelkasten, although I kind of squeeze in some of the emotional writing in tonight's episode. The episode tonight is very targeted. It focuses in on one point that I made yesterday in my podcast. I will show some cards to establish what I'm saying, and I'll make the point once again that I made yesterday. I made the statement very strongly, and I firmly believe it. Leave factoids on the bib card. Don't make main cards out of your factoids. And here's the philosophy of Zettelkasten should be a reservoir of thoughts and ideas. It should be mentally stimulating. Factoids are not mentally stimulating. Ideas are mentally stimulating. Factoids come in along with support for ideas. They suggest ideas. They're in the background. Yes, you need precision. And if you're going to do any kind of academic work or any publication work, really, you need to have your factoids aligned properly documented, properly referenced, so you need to have them. But the bib card is the place to leave them, not your main cards. And I'll show you what I mean when we go over to the cards. So let me switch over to the down-facing camera, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, here is a bib card. It's from a book, The Developing Mind, Daniel J. Siegel. And the point that I'm going to make comes in on the second bib card 2. Now what I want you to notice here on the card, here in red is the number of a main card. And down here in red is the number of a main card. So that means for this bib card, I created 2 main cards. These 2 main cards are both about ideas that are expressed in the book. Whereas these little points here, ... are information that supports this first point in the main card. And the Daniel Siegel is making the point here that emotions are primarily communicated through nonverbal behavior. And he cites many different examples and different studies that demonstrate this. And they are cited with papers and dates so that you can actually look up and see all of the facts that support this claim. So, this is the concept, the idea that how emotions are communicated. So it shows up on a main card. And here's the main card that I have for it. Emotions are communicated primarily through nonverbal behavior. That's what I got from the author. And I included the citation that Siegel made to go along with this claim. Now, I went on and kind of waxed on about it. If I'd gone much longer, I would have had to pull out my yellow legal pad, because to me it was very, very interesting, because my avenue is writing with emotions. And you can certainly see with the existence of books like The Emotion Thesaurus that there are works out there, and this isn't the only one, that show authors how to describe these nonverbal behaviors that psychologists have shown that emotions in humans are communicated primarily in that way. And in behavior of human beings, that appears to be true. I haven't gone all the way to the most current work to determine whether that's still held to be true. However, as authors, we have another entire avenue for communicating emotions that is not open to human beings in their ordinary discourse. Writers are creators of worlds. And so as writers, besides being able to show shuddering or show a furrowed brow or sweat or whatever mechanism you want to use to describe nonverbal behaviors, and I can't imagine a better book than The Emotional Thesaurus for doing just that, but we as fiction writers have an exciting, far more abbreviated and far more intense mechanism for conveying emotion, because we can simply describe the situation that gave rise to the emotions. There he stood at the edge of the cliff, looking down. You can't say that in the middle of a conversation to convey emotion, but writers can set scenes that convey emotions. And so that was my contribution to this thought. So now you can see I have all of the components that we talked about yesterday. We have the author's view, we have my reaction, we have the reference so I know where to find it on a bib card, and the all-important tagline or memory prompt phrase, if we're going to go the whole thing, and that is show emotions non-verbally or sketch the struggle. So I captured the whole thing in that tagline. But what I did not bother to capture are all of the pieces of information and facts that support this statement. Those are best left on the bib card. When you read this, they're going to all come back to mind. And they might come back to mind a bit fuzzy. We won't know exactly which ones they tested or exactly which author or which date. But when we're thinking about the concepts, we don't need facts at that level of precision. When we're doing our output and we're writing and we need to cite something, this reference right here and this card number right here collectively will bring you back right here, and there's all the factoids that you need for your paper. And they are not inaccessible. They're not even remotely difficult to access. You only need to get them when you actually need that level of precision for your output. Until that time, you don't clutter up your bib box with them, you don't clutter up your main box with them. You don't take time indexing them. You don't take time struggling to give them a card number. All of that is just a waste of time and effort. You log them well so that you can get to them when you need them, and you do it once and only once right there on the bib card, and you let it go at that. Because your main cards need to be a dialogue between the author and you. And when you get that dialogue going and you find the right place to insert it into the other, where the conversation is already underway, now you're getting the flow of concepts that have the potential to make a novel contribution to your field. And that's why we say that a Zettelkasten will make you a writing machine. This will only make you a ChatGPT. And I'm here to tell you that ChatGPT is probably a better ChatGPT than your Zettelkasten will ever be. So don't imitate ChatGPT. Be a creator, a thinker, someone who deals in ideas, and put those in your Zettelkasten. So that's the only thing I really wanted to get through tonight. I wanted to make that concept really clear because that is so essential. And for anyone who's just starting out with effortless numbering system, or who is thinking of converting to the whole concept of putting a tagline in your index and the full line, boy, can you imagine how quickly your index would get cluttered up with a bunch of factoids? That would just be boring to have to try to put all those different index entries for all those factoids. you give that up really, really quickly. But if you're doing those multiple index entries for exciting thoughts and ideas where you've got your response going on in your mind, it only becomes more exhilarating if every time you write that tagline, because you're neuro-imprinting it, and in the process, things are bubbling up in your brain. Well, there's one more thing that we could have gone into, and I mentioned it yesterday at the very end, but we're going to see it tomorrow, because when we were filing this card, there was another spot where this card could have gone. And so tomorrow we're going to talk about the concept of creating a link to the other place where this card could have gone. So links, I left you hanging with that yesterday, and it's still a promise, but I will get to it tomorrow. So that's all for today. Thanks. Bye-bye.